Welcome to today's podcast. We have the return of my buddy Adam, the founder of Brain Supreme. We took a deep dive into his background on the first podcast. This one, we really just went straight to it. What is microdosing and what are the best practices? How do we pair these things? What are the uses for it? You know, it's going to be a different protocol for somebody who's trying to heal their brain from traumatic brain injury. And that's not just MMA fighters and boxers. That could be a hockey player. It could be somebody who was in a car accident. It could be a veteran. And those protocols look a little bit different. If you're just trying to optimize your workouts and get the most out of something, there's protocols for that. If you're trying to learn something new, this is a great use of microdosing. There are protocols for that as well. And a lot of that is a personal relationship. And so we talk about how to develop that personal relationship. What does onboarding look like? What do the different dosing protocols look like? And best practices all around. So we dive right into this stuff. I love this episode. Brain Supreme is the only sponsor of the show these days. So just getting that out there, KKP will give you a 15% discount. And I hope you guys enjoy this, whether you order from Brain Supreme or not. I think this is something everybody wants to know and really deep dive into. There's tons of science coming out these days from all over the place. You've got major universities looking into the benefits cognitively from macros and micros when it comes to psilocybin mushrooms, and a number of other compounds that are in here that we know boost cognitive function. So lots of cool stuff in this episode. Share it with friends and support Brain Supreme that supports this podcast. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Share this with friends, and I'll see you on the other side.
It's your podcast.
Personal, yeah. Welcome to Kyle Kingsbury Podcast. Welcome, Adam, to my podcast. This is great. Podcast host with podcast host. When I take the athlete, now let me backtrack. The two types of kickboxing, Muay Thai workouts that I do are either 3 minutes on, 45 seconds off for, one round of shadow boxing and then 10 rounds. We have 5 different bags. We rotate through twice. So that's about a 45-minute. It's a little bit long for BFR, but I don't give a fuck. It's more for the endurance than anything else. And then the other one we do, like I did today, is I'm short on time. I go 11 rounds straight with no rest. So it's from one bag to the next. I'm just looking at on my clock to see like, oh, it's been 3 minutes, move to the next place. And so I have to pace myself a little differently because it's 33 minutes straight, which would never happen in a fight, but
Right.
it's a different type of cardio. And so, and of course with the bands on, 33 minutes straight can give you a whopper.
Kyle's talking about the blood flow restriction.
Blood flow restriction bands.
Yeah, your audience knows, but for my audience, which is like total fucking game changer.
Yeah. Dr. Mike DeBoer's been on my podcast a bunch. Look up those podcasts, glance in the show notes if you want to get up there. They're awesome. 33 minutes straight with 2 athletes, and I get a pretty decent pump. Like in a way, wasn't debilitating the way like NO Explode was. We'd go to I had a supplement sponsor, so I went to the Mr. Olympia, and this is right when NO Explode came out, and like Forrest Griffin's at their kind. I'm like, you don't take this shit, do you? And he just smiles. It's like, I love it. Like you couldn't fucking box for more than 90 seconds without your arms feeling like they're gonna fall off. So something there gives me a greater pump. However, it wasn't debilitating. It wasn't like I lost pop.
Yeah.
I just got really fucking pumped. So I don't know if it was the citrulline, something like that increase in vasodilation. Personally, I love One Genius, One Athlete. That's what I took this morning.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the best of both worlds. I've done two Geniuses great too. Like on days if I'm learning shit or doing something else. I really want to get into, we're getting like all the kids are just learning piano right now. Bear loves violin, but we're going to talk about cognitive function here in a minute and how all this applies to it. But something I want to do is start on the kids' piano with the Genius and see what that can do for the brain as well.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to run that test. But yeah, I think one athlete, one Genius, or 2 Genius, even though if it was strictly weight training, like 2 athletes is awesome.
Yeah.
Like there's a spark that it locks you in with. So. And
you mentioned pickleball the other day too.
Pickleball, dude.
Which is, so when you mentioned that, I mentioned that on the phone the other day. It's like my third leading point of sales is 40 to 70-year-old pickleball players who are getting into microdosing.
Are 90% of them in Austin?
Yes, because that's where I am.
There's a large following
it started here, and there's a big pickleball
players in Austin.
But now it's but they're telling their friends, so starting to spread. Like as much as we can track these things, like pickleball is like a significant jump category for us in the last year. It's crazy.
It's an incredible sport. And let me just say this is funny because like Connor Milstein, our movement guy, he's like, I wouldn't call it a sport. You know, it's like, you know, he plays tennis, he does MMA, you know, he's sparring with the pro team and doing all this shit. So like, I give him credit. He knows what real sports are. But, you know, back to this, the start of this conversation, we kind of just jumped right in, is we're going to talk microdosing today. And we're going to talk Brain Supreme, which is your company. It's a fucking phenomenal microdosing company. There's other things you guys have created. So we're talking about different things that you have, like the Genius or the Athlete, and how those can be used in what kind of application, right? Do we really work with this? And so a lot of these applications, you know, from a sports performance standpoint, have to do with, am I going to perform better? Right? Then there's other applications for neuroplasticity, creating, you know, new neuronal connections, increasing just cognitive output in all directions, right? And there's some things that we can do without microdosing that enhance that, right? And then there's a lot of things we can do with microdosing that enhance that as well. And so I'm thinking of stacks, you know, that we can get to. So anywho, a lot of this came from me personally, and why I've been drawn to it. In my fight career, I was introduced to plant medicines from my boxing coach. Everyone listening to this fucking podcast, if this is your first time, you've heard me tell this a million times. Boxing coach was Wheatsy. He was Aztec, Mestizo, and he would take us out for traditional sweat lodges. And after a couple years of sweating only, he introduced us to plant medicines. Not all of us, but a lot of us at American Kickboxing Academy. And those were big doses. Those were macros. Like my first journey with my wife, we basically split an ounce.
An ounce is 28 grams.
Yeah. So it was just a hair under 14 grams a piece.
Yeah. So, and just so for your audience or my audience to know, like the historic therapeutic journeying dose is 5 grams.
That's the heroic dose from McKenna, the 5 grams.
Yeah, 5 grams. These days, mushrooms can be stronger. Most people, like, depending, maybe 3.5 to 4 grams. But you basically took a triple dose.
Yeah. I mean, 2 grams of the right penis on me could also be a full send. But yeah, those are big journeys. And so that's what I knew from that world. He taught us respect, reverence, a lot of Native American wisdom, intention setting, how to hold a sacred container, right? And we're doing this on native land. And he's our only guide. It's just us when we're doing sweat lodge and drum it in, and he'd sing his prayer songs and things like that. And we'd have just incredible experiences. Then later got into ayahuasca thanks to him. And that was a whole, holy shit. Like there's a whole world here. It's what drew me to Aubrey and coming to Austin was a lot of his talks on those. In fighting though, it was a funny thing is I told Cain Velasquez this. I was like, hey, wait till you're done fighting before you try this. Cause I don't really care anymore. There was a point where fighting was the most important thing in my life, my entire career. And then that point shifted. And I don't know if it was from any one single journey, but it basically became not the most important thing in my life anymore. And so I told him to hold off on that. And thankfully he has, and he's jumped in and he learned a ton from it. But at the time where I was getting ready to retire, that's just when a lot of these big fighters started talking about using.
Oh, wait, let me just hit pause. So you're saying that your heroic journeys gave you like a new quantum understanding of life and your role in it. So your kind of slender, myopic focus on fighting got broadened. So that's why you thought maybe.
Yeah, and there was no attachment to it, right? Yeah. So like when football, I don't know how it was for you, because you played football at Northwestern, I played at Arizona State. Even though I sat the bench my whole senior year, when football ended, I was fucking devastated. I had no outlet. I had no reason to take care of myself. I had nothing to train for, no teammates to work with. I was going to 24-hour fitness. It felt like masturbating after having the best girlfriend for 4 years. There was something lost I couldn't make up for.
Good metaphor.
And, but when it came time to leave fighting, that wasn't the case at all. Like I had no attachment to I'm a fighter, I'm a warrior, I'm a this, I'm a that. Like all that shit was just yes and.
Yeah.
That doesn't define me. There is a part of me for damn sure, but it's yes and there's so much more. And so, leaving the sport was a hard decision, but it was the right decision.
Yeah.
I was only 32 years old. And I say that because I felt like I never really got to test microdosing in the peak experience of a professional fight, because I can test myself in sparring and it's not the fucking same. Fortunately, I heard enough guys like Donald Cerrone talking about it. And, God, what's the other guy? I want to call him Joey something. Joe Fighter's Brain.
What
they were microdosing fairly regularly.
Yeah.
And microing for these guys went up to like 3 grams, but like they weren't in a visionary state. You could say they were concert dosing for the amount, how often they took it. This is a drug or a compound where the more often you take it, the more your body downregulates its visionary function, right? Yeah. So it doesn't mean it's not working on the brain. It means that you're just going to have less of a transformative experience from a one-off. Yeah. All that said, I really wanted to do it. I was like, damn, dude, I wish I had done this. And Jason Ellis, who's a buddy, hit me up. He's like, dude, come to Ellis Mania, fight me in the main event, boxing only. And I was like, I haven't sparred in fucking 6 years. And he's like, fuck it, come on, mate. And I was like, all right, well, and I was like, all right, I'm going to microdose for this, right? So I had 100 mgs of penis envy. And from the warm-up through the entire fight, I've never felt so loose, so in command and control of my body, so fearless. You have to have some level of fear when you fight or when you compete. Some level of nerves means that you respect what's about to happen, right? To go in there aloof is like, you don't know.
Right.
So some level of nerves is acceptable, but quite often it would debilitate me, as with most guys. So having sparred maybe 4 times in the last 6 years before this first fight with Ellis was just like, we're going to get to see right now if this shit works or not. And I'm telling you, like, his coaches came up to me after and they're like, I've never seen you so fluid, so crisp with your hands. It's like, why didn't you box more? And I was like, honestly, I was pretty good in the sparring room, but it didn't translate when I fought in the cage.
Yeah.
And the fear thing was a big one. The negative mind was a big one. And the psilocybin fucking wiped that clean like it never existed. Instant flow, complete presence. Again, like I'm listening to Pat Benatar and fucking Whitney Houston, like just warming up, blasting this shit. Michael Bisping comes from across because Bisping was cornering Ellis, and he's like, "What are you doing in here?" Like I was like just fucking dancing around. He's like, "Okay." He could feel the vibe. But yeah, I had 2 fights with Ellis. Both of them were really successful, and I credit the microdosing for allowing me to be the very best version of myself.
Yeah.
And then, enter you. I got to meet you through Cal, find out about this company you've got, and you guys are making fucking phenomenal products. So I've been working with those. Obviously, you've got protocols. I want to dive into these different protocols, but this is basically, if we did a Tarantino podcast in a way, because we just jumped right into the what do you like stacking.
Well, that's good. But you also do your little intro beforehand, so it'll all work
exactly.
out. I want to just one kind of annotation to what you'd said. So, like, originally you were thinking as this transitioning in your life from the fighter to maybe something else, that those heroic journeys, those macro journeys might have like taken you out of the myopic fighter mindset. That's why you kind of warned Cain Velasquez, right? Is that my understanding of it?
Yeah.
And that might have been more a synthesis of like the quality of the relationship you had, your desire to be a father, like a lot of other things might have influenced that. And the mushrooms might have just, it's now your time to go this direction.
Right.
Without receiving any more damage. But the one thing I'd say for younger people who are still in what I call the princely stage of life. So you have childhood mimicking, and then you have the squire stage, which is the heavier the burden, the stronger the back. So basically 14 to like 24, apprentice, squire, attain skills that you can apply to your princely stage of life when it's all about conquest. You want to go out in the world, and now you want titles and acquisitions and accomplishments, and it's your time of like serious ambition. You want to do it with a sense of decency and morality that you developed during the squiring stage because you studied under masterful people who had a kind of holistic understanding of what it means to be a well-realized expert in your field and a quality human being. But the princely stage is all about attainment. And then you go into the kingly stage, and the kingly stage is all about keeping the peace and growing the prosperity, because now you have children and businesses and partners.
The king must be generative.
Yes. So keep the peace, grow the prosperity, and then the wise elder stage where you give it all away. Our friend Cal Callahan is like a really good example of a guy who like unknowingly played out these stages really, really well. I think I've had trouble in my life because I have to be the kingly and princely stage kind of simultaneously after my cannabis faceplant and all that other shit. But that's like a whole other separate conversation. The thing that I wanted to touch upon is that princely stage of life. If you are so enmeshed in your ego and accomplishment, and what you do is your identity, it can cause a crippling fear. So you're going in to fight, okay? But you are in your entirety a fighter. So if you lose, there is so much at stake. Your identity crumbles. And what the macrodose and the microdose can do is connect you to the divine so that you're more than the singularity of your experience. You're more than the singularity of your identity. And what you experience is the liberation of that.
Yeah.
So the macrodose, the microdose liberates you from the singularity of your identity, and then you enter flow state. Because your flow state is restricted by the singularity of your identity and the risk of a complete identity collapse. That's really what the jitters, when athletes get into their head.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much the singularity of their identity that missing the free throw, and not getting a goal a game, football players, MMA guys, the loss is equates to a collapse of identity and death. We view that
personal.
as death. Yeah. So when you can do things in your life that open you up to the divine, you enter flow state because you're more than just this one endeavor that you're in. So you can fully participate in this endeavor.
That's perfectly stated. Perfectly stated. I think too, fighters uniquely, are in the position where if you don't win, you get half your pay. Right. So like that in and of itself is there. If you're not on a win streak, you have no room to negotiate when you have a contract renewal.
Yeah.
Right. Like you have to be on a freaking big win streak when that contract ends. So you can even say, hey, you wanted to give me a $3,000 raise. I think it should be $10,000 raise.
Yeah.
Right. And we're scratching for fucking peanuts off the table compared to what these guys made. But that too is a separate conversation. But yeah. And then, you have, in all sports, if you are in the spotlight, you're going to have people that are commenting about you and talking about you and sports writers and that kind of shit. Famously, I had, I think it was Josh Gross, maybe a Sports Illustrated article when he was writing for them, said, I don't know who Kingsbury pissed off in the UFC personnel, but it's clear it was someone.
All right, guys, quick break to tell you about my new digital community is finally here. It is launching May 1st on Skool. Peep the link in the show notes. If you are interested, it is $150 a month. I will be deep diving health, wellness, body, mind, connection, nature, plant medicines, and everything in between once a month on a big monthly call. That'll be 2.5 hours, 2 to 2.5 hours long with Q&A. And then 2 weeks later, we'll drop into a pure Q&A for 90 minutes plus. And in that, we're going to have the ability to really get people dialed on whatever your goals are. Anything that's within my wheelhouse. If you've heard it on this podcast for the last 7-8 years, the reason I've podcasted on it is because it's something that's near and dear to my heart, and it's something that I've spent time learning and researching. And so the sky's the limit with what we can accomplish together. Early people that get in here to the community first and foremost will have a head start. The community's going to be small when we start. You guys will have every question. You're going to have multiple questions answered every single time we log on, and it's going to be a fantastic way to take care of yourself, to hone, to get better. And if you are studying and doing the things that I'm doing, you know that takes a lot of time, and it helps to have people that can grab you by the hand and help you up the mountain. So I'm super excited to bring this community. It is called the Kingdom Within, and a lot of that is about how we access the Kingdom Within. And what does the Kingdom Within look like? And then what are the levers in which we can pull that shift our inner space and the operating system in which we interface with the world. Operating system. I know a lot of people don't like the computer analogies. Anywho, all that to say, check in the show notes, The Kingdom Within on Skool. We are launching May 1st. Sign up for it now, and I can't wait to see you guys there. All right, back to the podcast.
Because my final 4 fights in a row were against like just fucking nasty, beastly dudes, which is comical. But anywho, your point hits. Absolutely. And I feel like, it's not just something for peak performance. I love it from a peak performance standpoint, even though I'll never fight professionally again. I geek out on that shit. Like, I want to know, like, oh, can this get me dialed, on a hunt? Can this get me dialed when my heart rate's going to be through the roof? Can this help me lock in a way that's previously harder to access?
Yeah.
And then that becomes easier and easier to access with or without it.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a technology that does that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I would say cumulatively, I've been at this for 8 years. The cumulative benefit of the microdose, I have this expression that I use called the film Fantastic Fungi, largely about the life and work of Paul Stamets, pre-COVID Paul Stamets. So that helps me personally.
Before he's using words like super spreader and shit.
Yes, and like and working with Fauci and all that other shit. So, but It's about the mycelial networks of the forest and where they interconnect the forest and the way that these root fibers of the mushrooms can relay information between the trees and even they think maybe even between the birds of prey to eat a salmon on this tree because this tree needs the fish guts, and it lets the warning symbols, it sends the warning signals for invasive species that are hitting the trees. Like, it's really quite incredible. I have this theory called the etheric mycelial network. It's from my heart, from like my fourth chakra, my sixth chakra. Like, I just feel this tuned in connection. So intimacy, vulnerability, authentic connection, like there's been a kind of cumulative, just like flow state of who you're meant to connect with and how you're meant to connect with them. Now you give, now you receive. Oh, there's nothing happening with this person over here, so just let it go, back it off. Like, you become kind of aware of that. Like right now, like I feel like a real sense of flow. Well, I've always had a great connection with you, but like the sense of flow state in our connection, like it's almost tactile. It's almost like I can feel it. I also did, I've been doing Max Stack and Black Stack, which is so definitely helps.
Next level shit, as it says.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So I want to get into, some of the different protocols, because you have a list of different protocols and ways to do things. Again, rewinding, when I was coming out of fighting, I knew that I needed to heal my brain some way, shape, or form. I didn't think I had CTE or, like serious brain damage, but looking at some of my teammates and guys that I had trained with for a long time that were only a year or two older than me, I could see them starting to slip, and I was like, fuck, dude, because we didn't know at the beginning. It's kind of like, yeah, this is taking its damage, but it's not taking the damage that boxers take. They've only got a head and a gut to hit.
Yeah.
We've got all the rest of us to hit. We've got grappling, we've got jujitsu, we've got all these different, martial arts that kind of are meant to save the head. We can wrestle and grab and hold on to somebody without getting punched. And yet still, it takes its toll. So fasting, ketogenic diets, was in and out of nutritional ketosis for the first 2 years, did 2 5-day water fasts, a lot of hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and a lot of the macro doses. Stamets comes along and he talks a bit about a brain reboot. I think that's 5 days on, 2 days off for a month, something to that effect. But I'd love for you to talk about, if you're trying to heal the brain, there's a method for that. And then if you're looking for, flow state experience a couple days a week, there's a method for that. And then if you're looking for like a peak experience, there's a method for that. Break this down for us, brother.
Okay. So, I feel most of your audience knows, but we'll just kind of do it very briefly. So the best way to understand the microdose is in the context of the macrodose. So the historic macrodose is 5 grams or 5,000 milligrams. Microdosing happens, it's subjective, but it tends to happen at the sub 10% level of that. So microdosing is historically like 100 to 400 milligrams. Then you enter the realm of like recreational dosing, call that, it's also subjective for people, but call that 500 milligrams to like 1.25 grams. That's the kind of recreational dosing, museum dosing, concert dosing. And then once you get beyond that, you're entering the psychedelic realm. Might not be as long a journey if you're at like 2 grams, but you're probably going to hit like a traditional psychedelic realm of oral acuity, visual acuity, visions, sights, intuitions, things like that.
The flowers smile at you.
Yeah. So, but the microdose is designed to be perceptible, but non-intoxicating, non-hallucinatory. But you should perceive some overall increase in your efficacy. And that's very different. Like, I have some MMA buddies when I was living in Santa Rosa who they needed like 700 milligrams to do a microdose. So the Brain Supreme kind of coaching protocol, I say demystify, familiarize, and personalize. So like if microdosing, if this carries a stigma for you, start on an off day. Start on a Saturday morning, okay? You got nothing to do. Any concerns that you're gonna go crazy and hallucinate? Just take all that. Just totally de-stress the whole thing, and just allow yourself to demystify the process. So your first day or two, if you've never microdosed, just take like 100 milligrams. That's 1 capsule. So we have Genius, Feel Good, Athlete. We're at 100 milligrams of what we call active and 400 milligrams of complementary ingredients. So 100 milligrams in the best case scenario will be like mildly perceptible. No one's gonna lose their shit over 100 milligrams. So just demystify. Try that on an off day. Best in the morning, best on an empty stomach, best with a glass of lemon water. There's a couple kind of like best case scenarios. It works very well with Max Stack, but we can kind of go into that later. And just see how you do, and really allow yourself, like, somewhere between 60 to 75 minutes is like this sweet spot of onset, and just kind of see how you do. So demystify the process. And then from there, we enter in the realm of familiarization. And for familiarization, we recommend the supplement protocol. The supplement protocol is 5 days in a row and then 2 days off, 5 days on, 2 days off. I like to do it actually during my Monday through Friday because it makes me better as a dad, a husband, a business owner. It's like it just puts me into a better headspace. But I tell people, if you're new to microdosing, take the first 2 weeks to a month and just do the supplement protocol. Find out how that works for you. Do 5 days in a row, start with 1 capsule, and then just scale up till you hit that perceptible, non-intoxicating, non-hallucinatory, but you notice like, oh, I know what I'm paying for. People who, there are microdose coaches out there, and I mean, I do microdose coaching, but I have a product to sell. So when you have a product to sell, it's great because you can give away the knowledge and information for free. If all you have is your knowledge and information, you have to put a value on that. I totally understand that coaches are very valuable, but people make a very big deal out of microdosing, and like, honestly, it's not. Like, it's really not. It's not a big fucking deal. It's like if you spent $90 for vitamin C and you're like, holy shit, like that vitamin C worked. Like everybody else around me got sick. I didn't get sick. And I'm like, I feel great. That's microdosing. Basically, it's going to be a subtly perceptible increase in your neurocognition, your libido, your connectivity, your ability to kind of compartmentalize stress, process stress. You might start sleeping better. Like you want to perceive some level of benefit in your life. Now, I have certain like combat veterans, PTSD, people who've experienced like real heavy duty trauma, and they're like, they go on a 6-month run where their life is just 50, 60% better. Like they can't believe it. Like they're sleeping, they stop having night terrors, they stop having suicidal ideation, so there can be that. But for the most part, a realistic expectation is like if you get a 10 to 15% bump in your overall well-being, which is enormous when you think about, that accrues over the course of a week. If you're 10% better every day, you're 70%, better over the course of a week. Hard thing to quantify, but you kind of know, you kind of get a sense of what I'm talking about. That's really what you're going for. So that period of just taking 2-3 weeks or a month, just like your first bag of product, just get yourself familiar with how to microdose because it's very, very subjective. So, the science of microdosing essentially boils down to this. Huberman's got great podcasts on the 3 hours on every aspect of microdosing. I'm in the microdosing space and that shit bores the hell out of me because I don't need that much information. I'm a bit of like a cave dweller in a way. Like, does it work or does it not work? And if it works, like I'm not that curious as to know every single aspect of why something works.
Which receptor 5 HT2A access receptors.
There are people who really give a shit about that and geek out on that. Like my brain's just not wired that way. I'm like, it works, move on. What's the next thing? Works. So, but basically the science of psilocybin works like this, is it moves your brain in a beneficial direction, whether you're cognizant of it or not. And if you have some intentionality and you are cognizant of it, it can move your brain in a beneficial direction even a little quicker. A couple things happen with psilocybin. You have neurogenesis, the creation of new neural pathways, new and beneficial neural pathways. You have neuroregenesis for like fighters and football players, aspects of the brain that have been damaged or pathways that are kind of getting dim or dull or underused that are beneficial. They will regenerate. And then there's not a proper scientific term for what I'm about to say, but there's something that I find called negative neurodegenesis. So negative pathways.
Is that 2 negatives equal a positive?
I don't know what the hell it is, but like somebody else
said negative and D at the same.
Somebody else can kind of, but there's a form of degenesis that happens where non-beneficial pathways, because look, you can start doom scrolling is neural pathways that form. So if every night, after dinner, if you digest and grab your phone and you start your shit scrolling, your doom scrolling, you're making pathways that then every night at 7:30, you kind of feel that's neural pathways.
Can't help myself. I got to open the phone.
Yeah. So microdosing can help with the degenesis of that. It can unwire the negative pathway. So those are the 3 things that are basically going on with the microdose. But the level as to how much you can feel that is completely subjective and what's the best way to microdose. So that first month of just familiarization, do I like to microdose at 8 a.m. and then do I like to do another one at 1 p.m.? Do I like to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on 1 capsule and Thursday, Friday on 2 capsules? Or do I like to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on 2 capsules and Thursday, Friday on 3 capsules, because you will acclimate over the course of the week. We call that scaling. Do I like stacking? After I tell everybody, like, don't go crazy at first. Just order 1 pack. It's kind of expensive. You want to make sure it works. Just order 1 pack. But, do I like stacking? Do I like taking, Feel Good and Athlete together? Or do I like taking Feel Good and Genius, or Genius and Athlete? Like, for the most part, microdosing could be perceived as sleep disruptive if done too late in the day, not from a caffeine standpoint. We have a little guarana in our products, and we have a little green tea extract, but honestly, it equates to like maybe 8 milligrams of total caffeine, because when you have 40 milligrams of guarana, that's about a 10% caffeine level. So none of our products have more than 10 milligrams of actual caffeine, and a cup of coffee is 180 milligrams, 150 to 180 milligrams of caffeine in a cup of coffee. So all that shit's negligible. But sometimes microdosing later in the day can make your brain a little kind of neuroactive. So you're still fired up and still creative. Some people have certain levels of brain trauma that, like, they've never slept better, and they'll microdose in the evening and actually sleep better. So you just got to familiarize and find all that stuff out. And then once you've kind of figured out, like, what's my dose, what's my sweet spot, then you can go into the personalization stage. And that's where performance dosing comes in, which is mostly what I do, and like what my professional athletes do, which will be an every other day protocol, or a 1 day on, 2 day off, or like a Wednesday training, Saturday game.
Yeah.
You want to use it. Never start that on game day. So the performance dosing is going to be a slightly higher perceptible dose that's done before your endeavor of choice, whether that's just like you're going for a hike, or you're doing a heavy duty sparring session, or it's your soccer matches on Saturday at 11 a.m. And that will be, so that's like, that usually tends to scale like the 3 to maybe 4, even 500 milligrams combination for people. So, and you want to time that out like 60 to 75 minutes before you're really into it with your game, with your endeavor, because that's tends to be, and then that sweet spot will go from like 1 hour to about hour 4 or 5. You'll kind of be in that flow state. So I do this with my training sessions. I tend to do an every other day workout scenario. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll take like 2 Genius, 2 Athlete, or I'll take a black stack and a Genius, or a black stack and an Athlete, but I tend to microdose around 400 milligrams. And I do that about an hour before I train. And my workouts are flow state. They're super enjoyable. And that's like the pickleball scenario that we're doing right now. So we've got supplement protocol, performance dosing, and then we have peak day dosing. So like, a lot of people want to be a microdoser. Like, they might like me, they might like the products, they might like sponsoring your show, but like, honestly, it can be diminishing returns. Sometimes you lose that kind of honeymoon effect, and you want to really keep that. So just listen to your intuition. And if that's the case, then you can just keep it for peak days. Like, let's say every other Friday, you've got like a really heavy duty CrossFit workout, and then you have a performance review at work, or some kind of all-in staff meeting. You want to peak on those days. That's where you kind of do your peak day dosing. Or on Saturday mornings, that's your nature day. You go for a trail run, a hike, a mountain bike. Just keep it for that day. So that's pretty much the 3 ways that you can microdose. You can treat it as a supplement, which I tell everybody to do to start. You can treat it as a performance booster, flow state, or you could treat it for peak day experiences.
Love that. Yeah, and I've done the 5 days on, 2 days off for a month. Twice now.
But that's the best for brain repair.
Yeah.
If you're really going,
brain repair.
If you're going for brain repair, or if you're really working on trauma, like if you really have trauma, like the supplement protocol for 6 months can be really super beneficial.
I bet. Yeah. So
the other thing with mushrooms is that they'll tell you. Like these things are sentient. They literally will let you know. Like, you don't have to freak out. Just be easy on yourself. The mushrooms will let you know. Like, I've had some combat veterans who they're feeling so much better that taking 2 days off causes them so much anxiety. I'm like, don't. Just run it. Just 7 days in a row, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, run it. The mushrooms are going to let you know, like, the work's been done. Like your brain's reached a point.
Yeah, you feel full.
Psilocybin is non-addictive, and it's actually anti-addictive. Like, this is used to cure other addictions. The Dell Center for Psychedelic Research and Therapeutics at University of Texas has proven this, that it reduces alcohol consumption by 25%. We've seen so many of our friends who have come out of a macro dose and addictions and so forth. Like, this whole notion of moving your brain in a beneficial direction is so true. Like pornography addictions, gambling addictions, alcohol consumption, reactive behavior. Like I get feedback all the time. And we're pretty significant now in terms of like the feedback that we've received. Like we've sold like 30,000 units over the last 3 years, 2.75 years. And our business grows. Like for us, this is a nice thing. Like the proof's in the pudding. So we keep the secret ingredient off the website and off the packaging for obvious reasons. We say Brain Supreme proprietary mushroom blend, or we say active ingredient, and everybody gets it because of podcasts and our affiliates and so forth. But so on Shopify, we have about the single highest conversion rate and repeat customer use of any supplement out of 4 million businesses on Shopify.
Damn.
They had a review session with us. They're like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. We were in the 0.4 top percent. So 66% of people who buy Brain Supreme once become a subscriber for at least 6 months. And
As you should. It works.
and that's like, so for like, that means like something's working, it's working. So, the mushrooms will tell you. And then I have people who are like, I love you, but I'm not feeling as much. I'm like, take a month off. Take 6 months off. Like I'd love to have your business, but like I want clean and good business.
Yeah.
That's just
Well, and to listen, right? Like as a coach, because you coach as well as me, one of the major things that a coach ought to be doing is reconnecting the person they're coaching to their own intuition.
Yeah.
Because I know better for my life than anybody else does, right? You know better for your life better than anybody else does. And I feel like there's a point, after onboarding where it's like, hey, it's your job now to fucking listen to your body and have the conversation during meditation, have the conversation at the end of the night with yourself. Does this continue? For how long? Is there more to be done? Am I full? What am I feeling right now? And just check in.
Yeah.
And these are excellent tools for helping us to check in, especially for people who don't claim to have any intuition,
right.
or who have lost that ability to connect to themselves. I love this shit. It works fucking wonders. It is truly one of a kind. It's in a category of one. That's why you guys have that, response from Shop. It's in a category of one. I will say, having run twice the brain healing protocol, which I love, and then it was probably 2015. I did it with LSD microdosing rather than psilocybin because this didn't exist then, but read Jim Fadiman's book, The Psychedelic Explorer's Guide. And it's a phenomenal book. The whole thing's on microdosing. A lot of it's done with LSD microdosing, but psilocybin microdosing as well. And the potentials there were mind-blowing. And so, we ran that. I did every fourth day for 3 months and loved it. My wife didn't. At the 2-month mark, she's like, I feel like I'm losing track
With LSD?
of time, reality with LSD. And I was like, I said, okay, just cut it. Now, psilocybin's a different substance, right? There's a grounding cord to it. It's an organic substance.
Yes.
It's a different, even though they're very similar. And so I haven't felt that way with psilocybin either, but I did enjoy that run. Now for me personally, I fall in the category of, once a week or twice a week, so that when I do it, it's whammo.
Yes.
Like I'm full on effects right when I take it. I know what to expect. Typically that's going to be on a kickboxing day or a sparring day, or if I'm learning something new from Connor. And so this is kind of one of the things that I want to get into. Connor Milstein's been on this podcast. He lived with Jordan Burroughs, our most decorated wrestler in U.S. history, for the last 2 years leading up to the Olympic cycle. He's been my trainer for over a year. He's a David Wett guy. You're a David Wett guy. You guys were co-captains of the football team together in high school. It's fucking wild.
So crazy.
And loved having Weck on the podcast, Bosu ball inventor. He's a category of one guy, right? And Connor's one of his greatest students. So when I'm introducing the body to new things that I'm not necessarily good at, have no experience with, and I want that onboarding process to go smoother, psilocybin microdosing makes that so much more accessible and so much more easy to build off of. Like when I hit the second workout, everything fucking clicks.
Yeah.
Like it might take me a few sets to actually get like, oh, you want me to come out of a lunge to an overhead press, drop my arm, then go out to a lateral lunge with a fucking clean, and then clean it back up out of the lateral lunge, back into my backward lunge, and then press out of that backward. I'm like, dude, this is like foreign to me.
Yeah.
I'm used to like pick the weight up off the ground and drop it, that kind of shit. And so getting my body to getting out of my head first and foremost, but then letting my body, learn these new patterns while, stacking it with substances like this has made a world of difference. And so one of the things that I want to talk about, because, we're dads, right? We got kids. And I think about performance for these guys. I think about some of the mistakes that I've made and some of the ways I do it differently. And, what is the miracle of modern science? What do we have access to now that we didn't have access to when we were kids?
Yeah.
And, really just thinking about that. And then I just lost my mind here on this, lost my train of thought here.
You were going on with kids, and I think you were leading to microdosing in kids, and your thoughts on that.
I didn't want to talk about microdosing for kids, but thinking about it with kids, with the move. Oh, what are the different ways in which we increase overall intelligence?
Yeah.
So this is where the kid picture comes in, right? And so I told you this on the phone. Lumosity was the famous brain trainer that had come out, and everybody's like, oh, this will make you smarter. It's brain training, right? It's like this app sold fucking millions of apps because people wanted to enhance their brain, right? Rightfully so. Okay, I can just play these games and it's going to make me, make my cognitive function increase. And so after a while, after picking up enough steam, third-party people were like, let's see if this actually makes you smarter.
Right.
Makes your cognitive function increase. And what they found was people who had become really good at Lumosity were really good at Lumosity.
Yes,
it did not translate to anything else.
Right.
And then they asked the question that we would want to know, especially for our kids, is what does increase cognitive function in all directions? What does help the brain work better in all ways? And if I'm remembering this correctly, it was learning a second language, any music, any musical instrument, and then movement that requires balance and diagonal access points.
Cross-articulation,
right? Cross-articulation. So you think about that, like everything I'm doing with Connor and Weck, that's all cross-pattern movement that's getting into all different shapes and sizes and putting myself in different positions. Jiu-jitsu is one of these things too. Like if you want to take out all the fancy terminology, like you go to jiu-jitsu, like that's going to put you in new positions and strain you in ways you've never been strained before. That's going to increase cognitive function in all directions. The same as music. Now, microdose with those things, and that's the shit that I want studied. I want to see this studied where, what is it like to, category A does music 3 days a week and learns a new instrument, having never played music before. Category B takes 100 to 500 milligrams of psilocybin 3 days a week while learning the new instrument. Let's see the differences between those two categories.
Yeah.
That's the shit. And so, as a self-proclaimed guinea pig, I'm going to run that test myself, and I'm going to do it with piano. So I'm really stoked on that. This is also where pickleball comes into play, because ball sports work a different type of hand-eye coordination than other things. As slow as that wiffle ball moves, it can move pretty damn fast when you're playing with somebody that's mad decent. And if you're up, if you play up close to the net, it's fucking whizzing by, And it's not too hard on the body. Like, we're bigger dudes. It's not like running an ultra. Like, your legs can handle it, even though you're on a hard surface. You're getting short little bursts, 5-6 yards in each direction, 3 yards, change of direction. There's so many positives in what that sport brings to the table with very low cost and very low barrier to entry. Right?
Yeah.
And so I think about that, and like, this is something that's accessible for a lot of people. For guys like myself, I can speak to the fighter community and say, here's what you want, X, Y, and Z. This is what you should do. And these guys can do it. But the vast majority of people I'm coaching, even if they're already in shape and they just want to improve, they're not able to access some of the shit that we're able to access.
Yeah.
And if they do, they might get hurt. It might not be a sustainable practice for them. They might need a 6-month ramp up to be able to do some of those things. And so I love pickleball for that very reason. The fact that, a sedentary person can get on the pickleball court and start working their way into it, gradually increasing and getting better and better. And it's not just training them physically for fat loss or, better coordination. It's actually helping the brain in a significant way.
Yeah, it's also community. I mean, you play with 3 other people, and you got to make a plan, and you're accountable to your partner and the people you're playing with. So in every marker for mental health and emotional well-being and basically being a successful life, it's good. You got community, you got accountability, you got movement, you got cross-articulation patterns, you got eye-hand coordination. It's great.
Yeah, it's doing all sorts of good shit.
Yeah. I have so many cartilage tears, meniscus tears, that I'm like, I still haven't gotten into it because planning and cutting, like
I would honestly, your WEC stuff would help you more with that than anything else.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that was the case, but with how much time Connor has me hang out in the bottom of a lunge, that alone. And, Steve Maxwell, who's in his 60s, he was one of the first white guys to get a black belt from the Gracies. He was on Tim Ferriss's a whole bunch. He's an RKC kettlebell sport master under Pavel Tatsulin, black belt in jiu-jitsu, as I mentioned. He's just a skinny, old fart who's strong as a fucking wire. And he's got a lot of things. God damn it, my brain again. What did we just talk about
Well, we're just talking about regenerating the knees and so forth.
Regenerating the knees.
Yeah.
So one of the things that he's big on is this static stuff, iso holds, right?
Mhm.
And so when you get into those positions, especially good for kids too,
Yeah.
because the pounding for kids plyometrically is not perfect until they're done growing. That's when they can really ramp up and take that to the next level. Whereas the static holds build strength through that. I mean, we saw the knees over toes guy blow up because of this, right? Well, isometric lunges and things of that nature, we were holding in the bottom of that lunge at varying degrees, build stability in that, but it also helps the knee. It helps lubricate. It helps build the strength around the knee the same way knees over toes does. And to that effect, I feel like all the lateral movements and these holds have made my knees so much stronger over the last year that it makes it easier. Because after my final fight, I went in for an MRI and the doctor was like, I don't understand how you walked in here. And I was like, I just fucking strolled in. There's no limp. There was nothing.
Really?
And he goes, I've never seen somebody with less. You are the most bone on bone I've ever seen in a leg. And he goes, are you in pain? And I was like, I get in pain if I eat bad. I'm not in pain right now because I'm not eating bad. But like my body will signal from the neck break, the broken jaw, and the fucking X, Y, and Z. If those old injuries hurt me again, that's because I'm eating like shit.
Wow.
If I'm eating clean and my inflammation is down, even if I beat myself up in the gym, I don't feel pain in those areas. But all that to say, the Weck method stuff, the Connor Milstein stuff, all that lateral movement, things like that. I think it's just spending time in those positions that greases the groove on it, and then you're going to be fine.
Yeah, no, I've got the, I have to still shoot. My son and I still have to shoot the intro videos for Connor so he can do it. I've been delaying, but I got to get to it. Yeah.
Have you taken your test yet?
No, I've got to do all that.
Oh, buddy. Well, for people that want to try it, phenomenal test that Connor Milstein will have you video and watch when you do your thing. It's a basic test. It's nothing crazy. It is 30 seconds of jump squats with a quarter turn.
Yeah.
So you quarter turn each jump. You drop yourself down to a parallel squat, pop back up, quarter turn, and you go all the way around and then back around the other way for 30 seconds straight. You have 10 seconds rest. Then you do 30 seconds straight of jump lunges. And the jump lunge is not meant to be a super high explosive Jay Schroeder, Adam Archuleta 40-inch vertical where you get as high as you can. It's just meant to that you catch yourself softly. So just high enough to be able to switch the legs and catch yourself softly at the bottom of the position. That's 30 seconds on, 10 seconds off. 30 seconds of push-up, 10 seconds off. And then, for better athletes, he'll have you do 15 seconds of sit-throughs, which is, from the push-up position, just kicking the leg and then popping back. That workout is under 5 minutes. And it will fry you in a way where fried. The first time I did it, I was like, oh my God. I feel ashamed that this got me as sore as it did. But it's an ass kicker. And it shows, you will start to see what's breaking down, which hip, which knee, which ankle, what is the part of the body that isn't effectively integrated right now. And so you can run that test yourself and videotape it and watch and see, which knee is fucking shooting way out or caving in, which toe will not allow me to plant and push out of the bottom of that lunge. All those things can become made available. And if you have somebody as intelligent as Connor or David Weck, they can point those things out to you and integrate it.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm looking forward to doing it. I got to do it. So
phenomenal, brother.
Yeah, cool.
Well, dude, we've covered so much here. Let's talk about MaxStack because I feel like this is you guys created this product. It is as a guy who worked in product development on it for years, creating supplements. When I read the ingredients list, it's like, holy shit, dude, this is legit. And I told my wife right away. I said, make our because she handles the coffees. I say, make the coffees taste good. Because this is unflavored, make them taste good, but figure out how to make them taste good with the MaxStack. I want a scoop in yours and a scoop in mine, no matter what. Every day we drink coffee. And it didn't take more than a second with her, dealing with the organic honey and that kind of shit. But it tastes phenomenal. I don't even taste it in there anymore. But the effects of what you guys have put in that stack are unreal. Yeah. It's right away. I was like, I need to take this daily. This is a phenomenal, phenomenal supplement. I'd love for you to break down what was it like creating this? What was the why behind it? And what is it best used for?
So I'm in a perfect scenario with the way my brain works because I'm not really like a details and I'm a very good follow through guy from relationship, friendships and honoring my word and so forth. But I chef for years, but I'm like a lunatic. I run in the kitchen. I don't need measurements. It's just all intuition and so forth. So I can come up with ideas and I have a partner who I just fire the ideas to. So, our first product was Genius. And then Feel Good, and then Athlete, and then Black Stack. So basically, traditional microdosing. So we did that for a while. And I was like, what if we made a product without the secret ingredient that's every known ingredient that complements a micro and a macro dose. So we started to really throw ourselves into research of what complements a micro and a macro dose. And I just tasked my partner with that. And he basically spent like the better part of a year just researching every single ingredient that benefits a micro and a macro dose. I'm like, now let's throw them all together and let's, in a base of ceremonial cacao and Ceylon cinnamon. So it's basically mushrooms, adaptogens, aminos, and cacao. So those are the three categories that really benefit a micro and a macro dose. And they're a great way to start the day. So we have a base of ceremonial cacao and Ceylon cinnamon, and you have to use Ceylon cinnamon when you go higher because all the other cinnamon, Ceylon cinnamon's the true cinnamon. Oh shoot! There's a chemical in other cinnamons that if you go heavy really degrades the kidney. It's not good for the kidney. Yeah, begins with a K. I'll get it. But Ceylon cinnamon has none of that. So you can go heavy on Ceylon cinnamon. And blood flow, prostate health, heart opening, cinnamon's amazing.
Helps with blood sugar management as well.
Yes, for sure. So in a base of ceremonial cacao and Ceylon cinnamon, that's the C, we have a blend of 4 functional mushrooms. This is what's amazing. So we do all our own formulation and manufacturing. I had a friend of mine who's like probably as successful in the supplement space as he's been on the podcast, actually Sean Wells. So you know him, I know him. He's a very good friend of mine. And we were talking one day about where to get really quality fish oil. And he says, just ask your manufacturer. And I'm like, I don't have a manufacturer. I have a partner in a facility. He's like, you manufacture yourself? I'm like, yeah. And I was like, because I'm new to this game. And he's like, nobody does that. I'm like, but how can I control every step? Like, how can I put the love and the intention and the sourcing, like everything that matters? And we had this moment of pause on the phone. He's like, Adam, you're fucking awesome. But it was like, I'm like, doesn't everybody? He's like, no, like hardly anybody does that. Everybody goes to the private labelers, and there's some very quality companies out there, but like we just moved into a bigger facility. We grow our secret ingredient mushrooms. We grow, and then we're growing like half a dozen other mushrooms right now too. So we grow our own mushrooms. We're biogeometry, air filtration, water filtration, light, crystals, like we're throwing everything at it. Prayer, like we do everything for our products and even the ones we source, blah, blah. So in the base of ceremonial cacao and Ceylon cinnamon, we've got 4 functional mushrooms in there, Chaga reishi cordyceps lion's mane, and then we have about 18 different amino acids, minerals, and adaptogens that are all in there. So it's like, it is the most comprehensive nuke your coffee or replace your coffee formula that's just on the market. Like no one's even close. And no one's even close with the quality of sourcing that we do because, we grow our own and and this from other stuff we're going to, like really, really meticulous about how we source. So we left it unsweetened. It will be a little bitter in the finish. It's very potent. I've cut my coffee usage in half and I do.
Same actually.
Yeah. So
I wonder why that is, because there was a point where I was just like, I remember having the conversation, my brain couldn't wrap my head around. I was like, I need less caffeine and coffee, but I still want a full max stack. And she's like, oh, you just want me to serve you in a smaller cup? Yeah. It was just like oh yeah, that's all I was looking for.
I still do a big honker of like probably 20 ounces or so. But are you
running decaf or just more water?
So what I've started to do is I do basically I blend 60% like of a French roast, a dark, with a 40% of a Swiss water processed decaf. So I do I'm pretty meticulous about coffee.
60-40.
So I do like a 60-40 calf to decaf blend. And I just start doing everything in the blender. I just throw the coffee in the blender. I throw the max stack in the blender. And then I put some raw honey and some heavy cream and I just blend it all up for, 45 seconds, let it sit for about another 2 minutes. And I just pour it through a strainer because all the max stack ingredients will completely, just,
What's strained then? So you pour it through a strainer. What's being strained then?
The coffee grounds.
Oh, the grounds.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
shit,
just do it. I don't even do a French press anymore.
Wow.
I just throw everything.
Damn, you throw the grinds in too.
I throw everything in the Vitamix.
That's like some savage camping shit.
I just throw
we got to put it all in together.
Yeah, if you buy like a cone shape, a little like a finer grain strainer,
guy, Chemex type deal.
Yeah. It doesn't even need to be that. Just a finer strainer. You just pour through the strainer. The cinnamon goes through. All the mushrooms and everything go through completely. It catches the grounds. And then, there's a little bit of that Turkish grind with the last few sips, but I kind of like that.
Yeah.
That for me is like,
get some fucking hair on your chest.
Yeah,
son.
right.
That's what that's for.
And just, some people love the bitterness. Others will need to do a little sweet. So I've experimented with everything. It all works. I mostly do local raw honey, but I'll do maple crystals, maple syrup, sometimes coconut sugar, probably like a tablespoon, and then totally smooths the flavor out. And the way it works synergistically with your microdose is amazing. It's amazing. The feedback's been amazing. It's an expensive product to make.
Well, you guys have the kitchen sink. It's a kitchen sink product.
Yeah, I mean, it can replace a lot of other supplements.
There's very few companies that come along that do that because of the fact that their ROI is going to be less because they're putting so much into it. You have to charge a lot just to fucking make a little.
Yeah.
Whereas like other products that have less, main ingredients would have a greater return. And I mean, I was shut down and on it multiple times, wanting to create the very best mitochondria stack, and them saying, oh, hey, we're not going to make anything on this. And I was like, I don't care. Make the best product.
Yeah.
Sell it for what it needs to. And Qualia has done that in a lot of ways. Symbiotica has done that in many ways, good buddies with Shervin, the guy founder of their company. And then now the Max Stack. I mean, I'm looking at this and just reading the label. I'm like, this thing has to cost you guys a lot because you guys are putting therapeutic doses. It's not like a microdose of all this shit. You guys have a whopper of any of these ingredients, and you're saving time from having to put 24 different bottles together to create it.
I would defer to you to ask you this question, but I find that there's like a synergistic effect with the Max Stack and the microdosing, where it's like, because we have a scooper in there. So, basically, I think it's 15 milligrams. So a full scoop
15
is
grams.
15 grams. Sorry. So a full scoop is like 30 grams. But I find I go like 2/3 and I get like all the efficacy. You can play with these things.
Right. That's
and
in the experimentation.
And then,
right?
Fitness guys, especially like you're probably going to do creatine a little later. You're going to do some other kind of smoothie. So you don't have to hit everything all at once. But I find that I'm set up, man. I do that morning coffee. I don't need to eat for hours. My workout's great. My flow state and attention. So feedback's been really good on the product. So it's been
It's awesome. And then you guys, we are short on time here, but you guys have a Shilajit that you're about to launch right now. So tell me about that.
I had a guy in the Netherlands who saw me on the Chase Hughes. It's like he's a fan of Chase Hughes, and I did a podcast with Chase Hughes, and he reached out to me, and it turns out he's a distributor. So basically, here you can play with this. Open it up too. So Shilajit is incredible comprehensive profile of minerals and fulvic acid, humic acid, and so forth. Five or six. But Shilajit is gross. It tastes like tobacco tar. It sticks. Yeah. You got to break it. It takes time. You got to break it down in hot water and so forth. And so what Mountain Caviar is they managed to create a self-encapsulation process. So it encapsulates on its own. So you're just taking these caviar pellets. It's the highest quality Himalayan.
So there's no actual shell around that. That's just Shilajit.
It's a self-encapsulation product that they have a patent pending on it out of Europe. So they distribute Brain Supreme for us in Europe, and we're distributing their Shilajit here. I'm not going to put many other products on the Brain Supreme website besides the ones that we make, and this was a great opportunity for European distribution because shipping to Europe is so expensive. And his product is I tested the product. It's super high quality. My kids love it. It's going to blow up too because it's so easy. You get all the benefits of super high quality Himalayan Shilajit, but it's just in this self-encapsulation form, like these little caviar pellets. So we got that coming on the website. We have a secret menu club now, which, that kind of, I think people can read between the lines. So they can join through the Brain Supreme website, just reach out and we send them an invite to the Telegram group. So there's a lot of good things. Work on our new product called Dog Supreme, where we're going to make like the most comprehensive, because they do all the animal studies, they do all the psilocybin animal studies. And we're like, it's incredible for all these animals. I've been microdosing my dogs forever, and it's great for their health and well-being and neurocognition. So we're going to have we're working on Dog Supreme, which is going to be like Max Stack for dogs.
Cool.
It's going to have a little microdose in there, and then it's going to have everything else nutritionally to kind of help dogs, functional mushrooms, ashwagandha. We got like 20 ingredients that we're going to kind of parse down from and so forth. So
that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I got a 14-year-old Chihuahua Shih Tzu who has scared us more than once on if it was going to be the end of his life. But he's got a pep in his step again. He's blind in both eyes, and like maybe it'll fix his vision in a way. It'll just be a fun thing to check out.
Mm-hmm. You'll have whole morning meditation conversations with him.
Yes.
I don't know about that, but actually I did. We have a puppy. We have a new puppy, and it's a giant Schnauzer, which is a German breed that's like a traditionally police dog, guard dog breed and everything. But they're good with families and they don't shed. But I haven't had a purebred before, and it's like, well, I had a husky growing up. That was a long time ago. But like purebreds are different, man. Like their genetic wiring. And I did have this one moment where I was very early in the morning, and the dog is. We're doing a decent job. We're not doing an extraordinary job because you got to train these dogs like every day for a time period. And we're so goddamn busy with my expression is if you cook your own food and fold your own laundry, like how much time in the day is left.
Yeah.
And you really care about your kids and your food and all that stuff. It takes a while. So certain things, you don't attend to. So the dog's been a decent amount to handle and is quite spirited. And I was doing this like morning meditation because I've heard that dogs, their soul adopts to the family soul. That the soul of the dog it gets complete with the human souls that it's around. So I was in this space in my meditation, like really, praying for Shotzi and visualizing this soul meld. And then I do a little powder in the dog's food when I make their homemade food up and everything. And just as I was like in that thought, I felt this thing climb up my chest and start licking my face. And I'm like, oh. And it was early. It was like 6 a.m. and everything. Whoa, there's Shotzi. So maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't work. I don't know.
That's awesome.
But
they know.
We'll see.
They're empaths. I mean, that little dog has been any journey, any deep journey work that I've done at the house, he will plant himself right on my wife's lap every single time. He knows.
Yeah.
And then even before we knew we were pregnant with Bear, he would sleep right next to her womb. He would use a little spoon, right next to her. He'd normally sleep at our feet, and then all of a sudden he just starts snuggling up right by her womb.
Cool.
Super cool. And
That's
so he
great.
did that the whole pregnancy, and then the second pregnancy he did with Wolf, and that was a home birth. And he's there all concerned, in the bed, he's licking her face. She's like, God, you got to get him out. Sorry, you got to put him out. It's like, okay. So I'm like, come on, buddy. I put him out and I shut the door. And right when Wolf came out and howled, she cried. He howled. He's never howled before. Never howled before or since.
Wow.
But he
and
howled.
you named your child Wolf too.
Yep. And that was a full moon. It was 4th of July in 2020, smack dab in the middle of all the crazy shit. All the planets are on one side. I don't know what it means, but it was interesting.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, they know. They're tapped in. Yogananda talks about that too. When a soul is ready for human incarnation, a lot of times they will become not an animal, but a pet in a house where they're drawn to the souls of the family members. And then that makes it easier as a bridge coming into human form in the next round. I was like, that'd be fucking cool to have, that if you see them in the spirit world, like, you were our dog, no fucking way. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's good. Cool.
Well, dude, it's been excellent having you on. Always, where can people find this stuff? We'll link to it in the show notes.
We're coming on as a full-on sponsor, so I'm super excited by that. So, yeah, we'll go for it. We'll have the KKP discount up, 15% discount for all your listeners, for all our products. And, yeah, I'm super excited to partner up with you.
I'm fucking stoked, dude. You guys are the best. Thank you so much, Adam.
All right, brother. Love you, man. Thank you so much.